Have you ever thought, is this just me when struggling to stay organized, start tasks, or manage time? For those of us over 50, these challenges might not be just aging. They could be ADHD hiding in plain sight for decades. I'm Jami Shapiro, host of Grandma Has ADHD, and I'm building a community where your experiences matter. Whether you're diagnosed, questioning, or simply curious, you're not alone. Our Facebook group is filled with vibrant, understanding people over 50 who share their stories, strategies, and yes, even their struggles, with plenty of laughter along the way. Ready to find your people? Join our growing Grandma Has ADHD Facebook community. Please like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen, and share it with someone who might need to hear they're not alone, because ADHD doesn't have an age limit, and neither does understanding yourself better. Together, we're changing the conversation about ADHD after 50. Come be part of the story. Hello and welcome to Grandma Has ADHD. I am joined by a reoccurring guest who I should just start calling my co-host at some point, but really not my co-host. But whenever I want to talk about something really fun, and I don't like to do solo episodes, I call up Lynn, who is my co-creator of the Sparkler Society, one of my best friends and fellow ADHDer. And I'm like, I want to talk about something. Can you be available? So thank you, Lynn, for your willingness. I never know what's going to come out of either of our mouths.
Yeah. And I love that you don't edit me too much. Thank you.
No. And just for those of you who've never heard Lynn on any of my podcasts, I always like to say she's like the best friend to have, because I always overtalk or overshare or dominate the conversation. But I always know that if Lynn is around, I'm going to come underneath that. So Lynn,
compliment accepted.
Wow. Well, I'm a lot and Lynn's even more a lot. So thank you, Lynn. So I decided that this would be a really fun episode to bring Lynn into, because we have not discussed this, by the way. I like to have very spontaneous conversations. But so yesterday was my birthday. And I have always felt like my birthday should be a national holiday. Like everybody should observe my birthday. And my kids tease me about it. But one of the things that I recognize, and I was going to ask you, is I don't know if it's because of my ADHD that I am the way that I am, if it's because I was an only child and I had one set of grandparents, but I love the recognition that I get on my birthday. And there's something in ADHD called rejection sensitivity dysphoria, or rejection sensitive dysphoria. There are some people who don't like to use the word dysphoria, but the reality is that people who have ADHD perceive rejection much harder than the average person. And just to give you an example, to lay it out for you, I would get a phone call, right? So I own a business, and Silver Linings Transitions in San Diego, got to put that plug in. But I'd get a phone call from maybe a senior community that we work with or someone, and they would call me and leave a message. Hi, Jami, can you give me a call when you get a chance? My stomach immediately drops and I immediately go to, what did we do wrong? That is my first reaction. I never come to it with a positive. And then when I hear a negative comment, like I actually had a doctor review my book and he made some comments. Some of them were like he said, don't call people ADHDers. I'm like, well, that's what we call ourselves. So, but like I perceived the rejection far more than I looked at anything positive that he said. So I see you nodding your head, Lynn. What are you thinking of all of what I just said?
Well, first of all, I don't think you're alone. I as an ADHD person also believe my birthday should be a national holiday. But when you talk about the rejection, what's interesting about, I'm going to put the rejection on my birthday, I'm going to kind of tie those two together. What I find interesting is I want my birthday to be a national holiday. At the same point, I'm worried on my birthday that I'm going to be rejected. So the idea of like a party being hosted that I know about, I get scared. And that's why my husband's done like surprise parties for me in the past, because I was pleasantly surprised I wasn't rejected. And again, whenever I got a text from my boss at work, I was always like, oh my God, something bad. Same thing. I don't think I'm going to be getting a text for a compliment. I feel like I'm going to be getting something bad happen. I'm also Catholic, so there's like some layers of guilt.
Well,
but, but
Jewish guilt too. So yeah.
yeah. So there's some layers of guilt of I'm more likely to fall on the sword, I guess, than other people. And if someone gives me criticism, it hurts me a little bit more, but at the same point, I take it in a little deeper. And so, every year on my birthday, there is this anticipation that I'm going to be celebrated the right way. And and I've been trying to kind of take that into my own hands. I think you have too, where we've kind of made our own parties, or we've invited people we know are absolutes. They're all in. Like, I'm always all in for your birthday. I know you're always all in for my birthday. So we're like in a safe space. I think basically what I do is I only invite my ADHD friends to my birthday.
I always had unrealistic expectations of my birthday, and that's one of the things that I didn't know when I got into ADHD coaching, that those unrealistic expectations, or those things that we expect, are very much ADHD. So we build something up, and then only to then turn around and be disappointed. And to your point, yes, I always planned my own birthdays and controlled it all. And I will tell you that it wasn't until my now fiance that I actually had I actually would break up with men on my birthday if they did not make me feel special. Like, if you can't find that one day, I don't even care about Valentine's Day. You can see the heart behind me. That's a whole other conversation, but I don't even care about Valentine's Day. But if you cannot come to the table for my birthday to say, hey, I am so glad you were born, then you are not for me. So I do want to say that I've been with my fiance now, Brian, for more than 5 years. And the first year that we were together, I was like, you are the best birthday boyfriend I have ever had. And so he was my birthday boyfriend, and he knocked it out of the park every year. I mean, and it was like, wow. I mean, this guy, and you've met Brian, he is a pleaser. I got to tell you, two pleasers coming together. But this year, actually, although I got the roses and other things, he is not in a really good mood. And so he didn't come to my birthday with like the energy. And, when you have ADHD, you also are very perceptive of energy, and he's going through a stressful time right now. And so he wasn't all lovey-dovey, and he wasn't like that. And so I made the mistake, even though he did all the gestures, right? He got me the ice cream cake from Baskin Robbins, and he wrote me a beautiful card. He took care of the dog. He took the day off of work. We got couples massages, like all the things, but his heart didn't seem to be in it. And so I told him that I did not like my birthday fiance, and that I wanted my birthday boyfriend back. And
oh my God. Can I share a similar story? Okay. That happened to me last year. Do you have more? I don't want to interrupt you, but did that
I just want to say it's a good thing that he doesn't listen to this podcast, because he was really upset. Like, I really hurt his feelings, and he's like, I put so much effort in, and he is dealing with a lot of stress. And I'm just like, can't you just like not be stressed out on my birthday? But so yeah, you share your story, and then I want to go into a little bit more.
I had the exact same experience last year, Jami. And let me tell you what not doing it right on my birthday cost you. It cost you about $1,000. And let me tell you why that is.
Okay.
So last year on my birthday, first of all, my birthday is January 9th. You know what happens on January 9th, Jami?
It's the day after Elf.
Credit card bills come in from Christmas. That's what happens. Nobody's in the spirit to celebrate anybody. It wouldn't even matter if I was a saint. Nobody would celebrate me, because everybody's just really overdone, right? Everybody's kind of at their capacity. So January 9th is a terrible time to be born, other than, maybe other times in December. But so my husband faked it. No energy. He took me out to dinner, checked the box. He, cut your cake, check the box. Here, open up something, check the box. Here's a gift card, blah, 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 blah. Let's go to bed. Birthday, check. I was very upset. I was very upset. And I was constantly talking about my future second husband who was going to appreciate me. And, and since if my husband wasn't going to exercise, there was potential I would get a second one and my second one would do a better job. And I went on and on and on. And every time we got in a fight, I would bring this baggage with me about how it was so thoughtless and he needed to acknowledge it. And he wasn't acknowledging it. So I just kept bringing it up. Flash forward, March, we're flying for Easter to go see my son, both of my sons. We all went to Austin, Texas. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, in the back of my brain, Jami, I thought to myself, he could make my birthday up to me mm-hmm. if he had organized something with my two sons. And like when we got off the airplane, if they were standing there with birthday balloons and like, I'm so sorry, we all screwed up your birthday. We're trying again, right? Mm-hmm. I get off the plane, I'm visualizing these things. Mm-hmm. Nothing is there. Nothing is there. But when I get to my son's apartment, which by the way, was a hot mess. It was messy. There were balloons. Now, remember, he's ADHD. Mm-hmm. So there were balloons and some of them were not blown up. They were literally just stuck to the wall with no helium in them. Uh-huh. So, but that didn't matter. There were balloons. And then I opened up a card and they said, we are taking you for a special day to get a custom made cowboy hat, which is the cowboy hat you'll see on my profile picture in the Sparkling Society.
Okay.
Sparkler. And that's what we did. And that cost $1,000.
Wait, sparklers.
Sparklers.
So wait, you had $1,000 hat?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I have $1,000 cowboy hat from Austin, Texas, from Stetson, which is the maker of the hats. It's branded. It took 3 hours. They patiently sat there for 3 hours while I made all the decisions of hat color, hat shape. It was cut. It was shaped. You've seen it.
No, I have not.
Do you want me to go get it? You want to pause? You want me to go get it?
To see what $1,000 hat looks like. So yeah, that's
You want to see $1,000 hat? Okay, all right.
Hit go and get it. Before we take the pause. You go. I don't need you for this. I was just gonna share about the Sparkler Society. Lynn, she called it sparkling, and we are sparkling. But if you enjoy Lynn and my conversation, you are going to feel right at home if you join us in the Sparkler Society. And this was not something that I had ever. Oh, I got to stop. Well, hold on. Don't say anything yet about the hat, Lynn. But it was just telling everybody what about the Sparkler Society, that it wasn't something that I even set out to do when I became an ADHD coach. But when I started to pay attention to the fact that older adults, especially women, had missed the diagnoses of ADHD and had grown up cobbling it together. And now here we are in our, upwards of 45, 50 and over, realizing that we have always felt different and we never knew why. We are bringing a community of women together who understand each other, can support each other, and understand, what it's like having the playbook to who we are when you understand ADHD. And I will say this, and I always say it, but it's really important to remind people that just because you meet someone with ADHD, it means you've met one person with ADHD. And a perfect example is the way that Lynn and I are doing the Sparkler Society. I like to market. I like to be out in front of people. I like to public speak. I'm really knowledgeable about decluttering and downsizing. But I freeze if you hand me technology. I will shut down and completely get frozen. And I get into my amygdala brain. Everything starts to get all garbled. So when I wanted to do this, I knew that I needed somebody that was going to be able to help me where I wasn't strong. And Lynn is a tech genius, and she also has ADHD, but we really complement each other very well. And so one of the wonderful things that we're bringing to the Sparkler Society is Lynn's going to have live tech answers and questions and answers for you, where she helps you understand tech or implement some tech that might be helpful for your life, whether or not the ADHD is a component of that. So while she stepped away to get this $1,000 hat, I just wanted to talk about that and let you know that depending on when you listen, we are giving the first 100 people a 1 month free to try us out. Let us kind of take on the training wheels and put this all together, because it's nothing I've ever done before. And then by March 1st, we're going to be up and running and really making a difference in everybody's lives. And that can be craft swaps, which, a lot of us with ADHD, we like to do all of those little handicraft projects, but then we lose excitement and move on to the next one. We're not always really good at saving money because we impulsively spend. We're not always future oriented. So it's going to be helping you to understand what you need to do to start saving rather than spending. And one of my personal favorites is the worry circle. Lynn, do you ever worry?
Oh yeah, I already posted one.
Okay. So getting up in the middle of the night, or just like when you just cannot let that thought go, and having a group of people that you can go to. So I cannot wait. I mean, I think 5 years from now, when we listen to these podcasts, we're gonna be like, wow, remember when we were just we celebrated, we got our first sign in, and I can't wait to see where this goes, because I know I want it for me, and I know you said you want it for you. But now let's talk about the hat. Oh, and I didn't take the pause. Okay. So let's take the pause, because, I always like to insert, I like to share, this podcast is a labor of love. There is absolutely no money that is at this point that is coming in for it. But what it is it's my opportunity to share with people the impact that understanding ADHD has made in my life. And I do need to feed my family and to put treats out for Benji, who is normally barking at my feet when I'm recording this podcast. So you're going to hear a little bit about Silver Linings Transitions, which is my move management and home organizing company in San Diego and Coachella Valley. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the Sparkler Society in a commercial. So we're going to take a pause. You're going to hear those commercials. I'm going to ask you not to fast forward those. I know a lot of us like to, but just consider the karma of helping me out, helping out the people that work for me, and helping Lynn. And then one more thing I will say is, if you are enjoying this podcast, it's really, really important that you help spread the word, because we are working to destigmatize ADHD, because we have whole generations of people who have it and they don't want to admit it because they think that it is a disorder or something is wrong with them. And the only way that we're going to be able to destigmatize that is to raise awareness and get to meet amazing people that I bring on to the podcast. So, all right, with that said, we're going to pause, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about $1,000 hat. So we'll be right back. Hey there, Sparklers. I have some news about the Sparkler Society, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, because that's what we do here. We were so excited to open our doors and welcome you into this community we've been building for women over 45 who believe they may have ADHD. But here's the thing. I kept thinking about all of you, women who've spent decades feeling too much or not enough, who've tried every organizing system that never stuck, who've accumulated craft supplies with the best of intentions or overspent. And I realized you deserve more than us rushing to meet an arbitrary deadline. You deserve a community that's been thoughtfully built, properly tested, and absolutely sparkleized from day one. So we're hitting the pause button. We're delaying the Sparkler Society launch until July. Now, before your ADHD brain starts catastrophizing, this is good news, because we are issuing refunds to anybody who's signed up, and we're collecting a waiting list of VIP names. And being on that list means you'll get special invitations before we officially launch. We're talking sneak peeks, beta testing opportunities, and the chance to actually help us shape this community. Because who better to tell us what works than the brilliant women who will be using it? Think of it like this. Would you rather move into a house that's half finished, or wait a bit longer and move into your dream home with everything ready? To get on the VIP waitlist, head to jamishapiro.me and look for the Sparkler Society. Leave us your email and you'll be the first to know when we're ready. And hey, if you're disappointed about the delay, I totally get it. That's your brain wanting the dopamine hit of something new right now. I feel you, But trust me on this, what we're building is going to be worth the wait because you've waited your whole life to find a community that gets you. A few more months to do it right? That's nothing. We'll see you in July, Sparklers, and it's going to be amazing. Don't forget, visit jamishapiro.me to join the waitlist for the Sparkler Society, where ADHD brains finally shine bright. Moving can feel overwhelming, whether you're downsizing, relocating, or helping a loved one transition. There are so many decisions to make, details to handle, and emotions to navigate. At Silver Linings Transitions, we believe every move should be magical, not stressful. We're more than movers. We expertly guide you through the entire process and do our best to alleviate your concerns. From the moment we meet, you'll feel comfortable because we will listen to your needs and wants and work together to create a personalized plan that honors your memories and your cherished belongings while helping you embrace your next chapter. We visit your new space and create a detailed floor plan, ensuring your furniture and treasured belongings will fit safely. We handle the logistics so you don't need to worry about anything, from sorting and packing to coordinating the sale and donation of unwanted items. Our professional team uses efficient, eco-friendly bins and handles every detail with care. We coordinate with our vetted moving partners, oversee the logistics, and ensure nothing is left behind, even packing your refrigerator items. Here's where the magic happens. We don't just unpack. We recreate the feeling of home. Using photos from your previous space, we thoughtfully arrange your furniture, hang your pictures, and set up your kitchen and bathroom so everything feels familiar from day one. When you walk into your new space, it's not just moved in, it's home. Your coffee pot is ready, your favorite photos are perfectly placed, your bed is made, and your new chapter begins with comfort and joy instead of chaos. This is how Silver Linings Transitions makes moves magical. We handle the emotional lifting and the logistics so you can focus on what matters most, settling into your new home. Because every move deserves a silver lining. We'll be right back. We're back. Okay, Lynn, $1,000 for that hat. First of all, how do you feel when you put that hat on?
I feel loved.
Okay.
And I also feel like this is a cautionary tale, get the birthday right or spend a lot of money. Now, I will say that it's not just a hat. When you create the hat, you get an assigned person. It is actually an experience. Okay. So you go to the Stetson place, you spend, that was the other thing. My kids had to be patient because it was part of the experience. So if you really break it down hourly, the hat itself, the experience was probably like $400. And then the hat. And I was making decisions pretty quickly because I knew what I liked and I didn't like. Mm-hmm. But they have to shape it. They have to cut it. All these little indentions, these are all different styles. Mm. The feather, whether you do this or whether you do that. I mean, there's 1,000 combinations, which is really interesting. But I will say I have worn these to a couple concerts and received compliments.
It's a good thing I was gonna say it's a good one more Jacksonville, Florida, to wear that cowboy hat. Go ahead, Lynn. What's the one more?
Well, the other thing I would say is I found out my dad did the same thing. And so for Father's Day, him and I took pictures with both of us having Stetson hats, something I didn't even know my dad had. Right. So that was kind of fun.
Well, your dad did live in Texas. So I can understand, if you live in Texas and that's part of the dress. I actually had a guest on, James Ochoa, who lives in Austin, and one of his collections is boots. So, I get that. So, all right.
I have those too, but you're from Texas, Jami. Don't forget you're born.
I was born in Beaumont, Texas, which interestingly enough, Lynn and I were both born in the same hospital, St. Elizabeth's in Beaumont, Texas, 20 days apart, but I only lived there for 6 months. So Lynn, you have family that's, deep rooted in Texas. My family was only there because my dad had just gotten out of the Navy during Vietnam, and he was a pilot. They didn't need him. My mom was pregnant, and my grandparents were working and living in Jacksonville. But my family's actually, my mom's family is from Jacksonville, Florida. So Anyway.
Well, my family were Italian immigrants that went to Beaumont. Lots of Italian immigrants
Oh.
were in Beaumont, and if you go to any sort of graveyard there, you will see Anthony, Tony, Frank.
Oh.
Yes, yeah, my grandfather came over at 15 through Ellis Island
Oh.
and ended up in Beaumont, Texas.
Well, very interesting. My grandfather was a comptroller at a hotel, and that was where his job was. And speaking of being a comptroller, I have to tell you, this is an ADHD thing. So of course we didn't know that our grandparents had ADHD because it wasn't really anything that was diagnosed back in those days. But my grandfather had gone to accounting school, but he could not sit for the CPA exam because now I believe he probably had ADHD, and he definitely had dysthymia, although that was not diagnosed either. But it wasn't until I learned about it through other family members that I'm like, oh, and there's a lot of emotional dysregulation with ADHD. But I think that the reason that my grandfather was a comptroller and never was an accountant was because he couldn't pass that CPA exam. So that was why he was in Texas.
All right, fun fact. I come from a long line of ADHD sort of salespeople, and my grandfather owned the Quality Cafe in downtown Beaumont.
Mm.
But I had an uncle who was an accountant, but he also had problems, and he was only an accountant for the mafia.
That would give you some dopamine, huh? Keep you on your toes.
So yeah, you're going to get those numbers right when those are your employers.
Yeah, that is definitely the fire that you need to stay on task when you have ADHD. So okay, so back to the I have to share this with you. So my oldest child, Will, and I'm going to say this. I don't like this part of my children, but they call me the lost little lamb. And yeah, I know. And it's because I sometimes would, by the way, this was before we knew I had ADHD. I would get flooded, if I was like in an airport or I had to make a lot of decisions, and I just would kind of like freeze. And so they think that this is funny. It is not. It is not funny. And I'm just letting you know. But so they think that teasing is funny. And I will say that I'm a pretty sarcastic person, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But the first phone call that I get is Will, who lives in New York, and says, "Okay, Mom, do you want me to post on Facebook?" And I'm like, "What do you think?" Because Will will write these gushing, beautiful email, tech posts about me, and of course fills me up. And then even yesterday morning, Lynn, I always look at my memories on Facebook, and I screenshot the one from a couple of years ago when Will was just really like, "I love you so much. I so appreciate you." So
Aw.
right. But so Will asks me yesterday, "Can I, do you want me to?" I'm like, "What do you think?" Of course I did want them to. I did not get the post. So, that.
Oh, I wouldn't hold out hope that I would get a text.
You have
I mean,
boys.
you are so lucky. I know, but you are lucky. You are so lucky. Like, even that you have something from the past you can look at. I mean, I had to send things like, excuse me. I carried you in my body.
Uh-huh. So I'm heading to dinner last night. And so we actually went to dinner I call her my mother outlaw. She is my mother-in-law from my first marriage. And, she's still the
Cute.
grandmother of my children. And she has really been a friend to me. So anyway, they offered to have us over for dinner. And her husband went to culinary school, Michael, and he makes amazing shrimp scampi. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just do this. It was a very low key, no party, because normally I'm having parties. So it was my fiance and my two younger girls who are in San Diego right now. So we're driving over, and Allie's like, "I cannot believe that you got over 200 people commenting on your Facebook page for wishing you happy birthday." You know what I thought, Lynn? I'm going to be honest with you.
What?
And I do this too. This is what's bad. I got not yours was awesome, but I got a lot of how Facebook now has it where you can just like press the button.
Mhm.
Okay. I got a lot of smile, it's your birthday, smile, it's your birthday. And I'm like, those don't really count. That doesn't really count, right? I want the, I'm so glad you're alive. You're a great friend. But I don't do it as often as I should, if I'm being honest. But, so there's that rejection sensitivity. Didn't really mean anything, tell me about your birthday. How do you feel about it?
Well, I love what you posted on my birthday. I also realized that, um, a lot of friends on my Facebook, I haven't spent a lot of time with recently. They knew me from college, or they knew me from sometimes elementary school, or past employers and stuff like that. So just the fact that they just hit any button on my birthday, I'm happy for.
Huh.
So I try not to put too much emphasis on that. I do think it is interesting, because of my birthday, being after Christmas, that I'm easily forgotten.
Hmm.
So I just give everybody a lot of grace except my husband.
Well,
And my children, my husband and my children, and my dad is 85, and even he was like, something's coming up. I'm like, yeah, the day I graced you with my life. Come on, dad, right? And then my dad's like, oh yeah, here's a hug, happy birthday.
no. Are you kidding?
Nah, yeah, just kind of like, okay. I mean, he he's not my mom. I will tell you that my mom did grand birthdays. I mean, there would be signs in the yard. I try to do grand birthdays for my boys. Um, because I do believe that it's the day that the person in your life graced you with their friendship and everything. So I try to do grand gestures. There's been times I've held back on coworkers,
Mhm.
because I was worried that other coworkers would be like, well, she loves her more and especially employees.
Mhm.
Um, if we ever have employees in the Sparkler Society, I would love to just overdo it. Like because I'd have permission to, there'd be no HR department.
There is no
Um,
if, Lynn. We will have employees in the Sparkler Society. Like, we're going to have people help us because this is going to be so big. You have to speak it into existence. Okay, so let me ask you a
all right.
question. You know how I normally ask the button about ADHD? Would you choose to have it or choose to not have it? If you could push a button and it goes away. I'm going to ask you a different question. If you were looking at your 56 years of birthdays, and I would say you probably can only remember like after the age of 8 or something, if you had to rate your happiness, or based on your expectations of all of the birthdays that you celebrated, um, would you say that you've overwhelmingly been happy and satisfied with your birthdays, or that they've been more of a disappointment? Have you had tears?
I would say I've overall been happy with all of my birthdays, but I think that I have to attribute that to my mother. And when I lost my mother, I felt like I lost my advocate of the person who was the most excited about my birthday and made sure other people were excited about my birthday. And so it's a real loss when you lose your mother. And I'm so glad you have your mom and you guys are close, but I will tell you that the reason I can answer that question saying that my birthday was happy. I mean, one time my mom misscheduled a roller rink. She thought she scheduled my birthday at a roller skating rink, and we went there and they did not have the reservation. She drove me and all of my friends down the street, went to a roadside carnival, offered the guy money, and he opened up the carnival just for my birthday.
Wow. That's
So my mom is a wonderful person and she's in heaven, and I miss her. And since then, my birthdays have been slightly disappointing other than my hat,
mm.
which was a makeup birthday.
Yeah, I will say that if you were to gauge my birthdays, I would say they were not mostly good. I did not have, and you mentioned that my mom and I are close, but take that back, because it's only recently, since discovering that we both were impacted by ADHD, that we have become close, and this is the closest I think we've ever been, with me celebrating a birthday. And by the way, she didn't send anything, but whatever. And I do remember my 16th birthday. You're so excited to get your driver's license, and I had made plans to drive my friends out to dinner, and was really super excited. And we show up for me to take my driver's test, and my ADHD mom had an expired tag. And so we spent my 16th birthday chasing her tag, getting her tag renewed, going back to the DMV, which thankfully they got us in. And it did end with me getting my driver's license on my 16th birthday. But I really, really wanted to go to school so that I could probably have been disappointed by friends when I didn't get the balloons and the cupcakes and the blah, blah, blah. But I think this was actually, and I'm going to be honest, this was the first birthday that I can remember that I didn't have to wish for anything. It was like I'm finally at a point in my life where I am content. I'm happy with my relationship. I've got a good relationship with my kids. I've got a good relationship with my mom. I'm happy with the direction of my business. I'm healthy. So it took me a long time to get content, but I would say I've cried more and broken up with people on my birthday a lot more, and probably because I have had those unrealistic expectations. And this year I just decided I'm just not going to do that. But still, I still loved the messages that I got from people who took the time, like you, to like put a picture up and write something really personal. But then I'm bad about it myself. So anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you treat others the way you want to be treated. You hope it comes full circle. I will say, my best birthday, I will have to say that this is highly memorable. It's ingrained. I don't think I'll lose this even as I age, is that my 13th birthday, my mom knew I had a little boyfriend and I had a crush. So she talked me into a boy-girl party. And when she talked me into a boy-girl party, all the games were encouraging kissing. So I actually had my first real kiss on my 13th birthday at my 13th birthday party. And I remember the little boy, just the day of my 13th birthday party being like, I'm really looking forward to coming to your party tonight. Wink, wink. I have a special, gift for you. And he was always trying to kiss me at school and I wouldn't kiss him because I was like, just really like, oh no, I'm scared. But when he came to my birthday party, lots of my friends had their first kiss the night of my birthday party. Everybody was kissing everybody. And my mom really kind of, I'd say, encouraged it. It was just, everybody remembers my 13th birthday. So that was kind of awesome. And it was kind of like, I would say now people would probably say that was inappropriate and my mom would be reported. but I mean, that's what she did.
All right. So, we have a lot in common, Lynn. Like we both realized we were both born in Beaumont, Texas in the same hospital. Then we both moved to South Florida. Then we both went to Jacksonville. Then we both went to University of Florida. I also had my first kiss at my 13th birthday party.
What? Get
I
out.
am
Get out.
not kidding. It was 7 minutes in heaven. Sadly, it was not someone significant. It was somebody who a friend of mine asked if he could bring his friend, and he was the one that got suckered into having to kiss me. And I will say this, mine was a French kiss. Was yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, he told me I did it right because he was very popular. He had kissed a lot of girls.
So I don't think that mine was very good. And we walked out of that closet and I'm like wiping my mouth, running to the bathroom. But it was not a special kiss. It was, I remember his name and he was cute. I will say that, but it was not special. So that's pretty funny. I can't believe we have that one in common too. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think as we go along, we're going to be sharing several things that we may have done right around the same time.
I actually changed the podcast introduction to say that maybe we're going to say sometimes it's going to be a little too much sharing. And that's an example. But okay, so really going back to rejection, sensitivity, and recognition euphoria. So just for anybody who's listening, and I've actually did a whole episode on rejection sensitivity when I had a podcast guest that I was super excited about having, and she was a no-show. And so I had the time blocked out, but I was also really disappointed. And I decided that I would share because I didn't know that that was a thing that we tended to really magnify rejection. And I know that I'm going to have another guest. She just did a podcast for me and she was a therapist and we didn't get into it. Oh no, I actually had a session with her as a therapist. And I said, I wanted to bring her on to talk about rejection. I don't remember, but someone's coming back specifically that's a therapist to talk about rejection sensitivity. But I also didn't know that there was such a thing as recognition euphoria, which makes complete sense. And that was why I'm like, I wanted to talk about that. So do you think that that's an ADHD thing or like for on your birthday, or do you, and I guess you can't really answer that because you're not a neurotypical.
I don't know. I do think I I I relate to that. I understand that. And not just birthday, but I think that I felt that a lot in the working space, in the working world. I actually quit a job because I didn't feel like I was recognized enough for the work that I did. And they say sometimes award ceremonies do both positive and harm, right? If there's somebody out there like me and I'm watching someone get an award that I don't feel necessarily put as much effort as I did, or I'm watching them get an award for a project that maybe I did 70% of the work,
Mm.
it is going to cause a reaction in me to go and just ricochet the opposite way. And being ADHD, you talked about they called you the lamb that you didn't make decisions. I'm actually opposite. I'm more like a bulldozer. I make quick and fast decisions that maybe I should pause on.
Oh no, I see
And
that too.
when I get rejected, and especially, in dating, when I got rejected, I was immediately like, oh, if I didn't get recognized as being the best girlfriend and I was starting to get rejected, I was either more likely to try to reject them first, or, run in the opposite direction or sabotage that relationship, even if it's perceived, which also I think I might have ended a lot of relationships, both friends and boyfriends, because of my perception of not being recognized enough as a good friend, or my perception of them rejecting me when honestly they might have just been busy.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you brought that up. It's so
Mhm.
funny when I was dating, when I would perceive that it wasn't going the way that I wanted, I would delete the contact from the guy so that I could not reach out to him. And so I would delete his information, and then it would be up to him to reach out to me. And then I'd really be like, who is it? Like I was just, it's no wonder I took so long to meet somebody, but I absolutely perceived rejection. I'm so grateful, now to have that partner. When I use Brene Brown's, the story I'm telling myself is, and to be able to just be completely authentically myself. And I will say one more thing I've noticed. And in fact, did you watch the Nobody Wants This?
Yes.
Okay. So at one point, they're doing the dance of dating, and she says, I'm afraid I'm going to be too much. Do you remember that? And
Mhm.
and I think that we do use that term with ADHD, and that's definitely one of the things that we are addressing, is that feeling of being too much and not enough at the same time. But to have a partner that you can feel safe to feel like my too much is not too much, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think I was this close to marrying somebody who was basically gonna put this canary in a cage
Hmm.
and try to tame me. I saw, thank God, I recognized some signs that even his parents were like, "Wow, you wear a lot of bright colors. Here's some beige." And I remember coming home with a beige shirt and showing that to my mom, and my mom's like, "That's totally not your color.
Hmm.
That is not your color. You are purple, you are red, you are bright pink.
You are
You are not
sparkly.
beige."
You are
I'm
sparkler.
sparkly.
You're a sparkler.
I'm sparkly. So yeah, so I that's really important. I do occasionally do hear from my husband, your volume's gone really up. It's really loud. You don't have to, you're too excited, you're yelling. But then there are other times where even some of my family, like they'll call me, and if my reaction isn't at its peak, because I don't know, my brain's someplace else, they're like, is something wrong
Mhm.
with you? What is wrong with you? So sometimes occasionally I feel like, oh my God, I just can't get it right.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to wrap this conversation up.
Sure.
I think that I always am really sensitive about, speaking of rejection sensitivity, about going too long and having people like, this is so boring. Let's, there's a vulnerability for sure in putting a podcast out there, which is also probably why I like to bring you in, because if it's just me, then it's, and I don't get anybody listening to it, then it's me that they don't like. But if it's both of us, then they don't like you either. You're in it with me.
Thanks, Jamie.
Uh,
Well, you know what? At 56, I don't know if I care. I'm trying not to care.
okay.
And I will put a plug for the Let Them book, which I think we should put in our product page. I do like Let Them. Let Them.
Yeah, let them. Okay, so I'm going to let you close the podcast today. I want to see what you've got to say.
Oh my God, how am I going to close this podcast? Okay, well, I guess first and foremost, happy birthday. And thank you for doing all the research and everything that you've done with ADHD. And I'm really excited that that you're allowing me to become a co-founder with you on the Sparkler Society. Can I just thank you for all of those things? Because it's starting next week, and I'm having a hard time sleeping, to be honest, because I'm just so excited that I just want this to be such a special place that when I wake up in the morning, it's the first thing that I log into, and it's the last thing I close at the end of the day, because I just know that our people are going to be there, and we're just going to be so authentically ourselves. So this wouldn't be possible if you hadn't gone on this Grandma Has ADHD podcast journey, and all the research, coaching, and oh my God, I don't even know what certifications you have. So I'm going to close with the thank you, Jami. Happy birthday, Jami. And I hope to see a bunch of people next week.
Well, remember,
how's that sound?
This is going to be airing after we've already started.
Cool.
But anyway, this maybe gives you guys a little curiosity into looking into the Sparkler Society, and we are definitely making it ADHD friendly. Which is, if you sign up and you're not using it, we're not going to let that be one of those subscriptions that you just keep paying even though you're not using it. Like, we want you to use it, and if you're not going to use it and you don't feel it's bringing you value, then we want you to have the ability to cancel it. So just know that. But what I was looking for is a way that I end every podcast, which is, there is never an age or a time in your life where you should not be striving to make the rest of your life the best of your life. Thanks for listening. The opinions expressed on Grandma Has ADHD podcast are those of our guests and hosts and are intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. This podcast does not provide medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The content discussed in this episode is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, mental health professional, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or mental health concern. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. The host, guests, and producers of Grandma Has ADHD do not assume any liability for the content of this podcast. Listen at your own discretion.